All right, so here we are again, another question. We just check to make sure the audio is working before we begin. Just a moment. The audio is working. Yep, audio is fine. All right, this question is going to be the maximum nesting depth of two valid parentheses strings, LeetCode 1111. Moving quickly here, I'm moving right along. So first things first, something strange happened with the last question, the last video, where it's basically not loading, or not loading, but something happened with the stream. I had to re-upload the video, so that'll be going. I forgot how long I wanted to go with these questions. Probably another hour or two. I guess if it's 15:26, I can go to maybe 17:26 my time. Anyway, so a string is a valid parentheses string denoted VPS if and only if it consists of an opening and closing parentheses characters only, and if it's the empty string, or it can be written as AB, A concatenated with B, where A and B are VPSs, or it can be written as A enclosed in an opening and closing parentheses where A is a VPS. We can similarly define the nesting depth of S of any VPS S as follows. Depth of the empty string is 0, depth of A plus B is the maximum depth of A and B. Depth of B, where A and B are VPSs, so the depth of the concatenation is going to be the depth of A plus the maximum of the depth of A and the maximum of the depth of B. And the depth of A enclosed in opening and closing parentheses is 1 plus the depth of A, where A is a VPS. For example, this is 0, this one is 1, and this is nesting depth of 2. And these are not VPSs. Given a VPS sequence, split it into two disjoint subsequences A and B, such that A and B are VPSs, and A plus dot length plus B dot length is equal to sequence dot length. Now choose any such A and B such that the maximum depth of A, maximum depth of B is the minimum possible value. Return an answer array of length sequence.length that encodes such a choice of A and B. Answer of I equals 0 if sequence of I is part of A, else answer of I is 0. Is 1, excuse me. Note that even though multiple answers may exist, you may return any of them. Interesting. So here's an output 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Here we have 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Sequence size could be 1 to 10,000. Pretty high acceptance rate, pretty low submission rate. So a lot of people skip this one. Okay, so this should be significantly harder. The last one shouldn't have been too difficult. It was pretty hard for me. Not hard in the sense that it wasn't too hard to understand. It was just very hard to make sure I got all the corner cases, all the edge cases, not even edge cases or corner cases, but just all the tricky things that could cause a runtime error or a memory leak, either a runtime error or a memory leak. All right, a string is a valid parentheses string. Okay, got that. So we want these, given the sequence, split it into two disjoint subsequences. So an answer A of an array encodes such a choice of A and B. Answer I is 0 if the sequence of I is part of A, otherwise answer of I is 1. Note that even though multiple answers may exist, you may return any of them. Oh, okay. Split it into two disjoint subsequences, A and B, such that A and B are VPSs and A.length is plus B.length sequence.length. So these are subsequences, not necessarily consecutive, not necessarily consecutive subsequences or subarrays. They don't really explain this too much, huh? It's got a lot of downvotes. Yes, wasn't really explained very well. An answer array of length sequence.length that encodes such a choice of A and B. Answer of I equals 0 if sequence of I is part of A, else answer of I is 1, which means it's part of B. So this 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. This subsequence is A, and then removing those gives you B on the other side, and you get 1, 1, 1, 1 for all of the VPSs. So this is a pretty interesting question. Not obvious to me exactly how to do it. I think there's something to be said about Yeah, not obvious exactly how to solve this. This is a pretty tricky one, I would say. I want to get the minimum possible value of the maximum of the depth of A and the maximum of the depth of B. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Even just calculating the VPS depth, VPS depth of a sequence is not that simple. Just calculating it in the first place is not that straightforward. Probably would want to use like a stack, some kind of a stack. Yeah, basically as you see more parentheses, opening parentheses, that increases the depth. And yeah. And then once you've closed all of your parentheses off, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's the max size of the stack as you add parentheses and pop parentheses off. Pretty much what it comes down to. Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, we could put all 4 of these into one. Then here we could say push 1, pop 1, push 1, put into another stack, put into another sequence, put that into another sequence as well, or pop even, pop, and then we don't have enough. So have to push that into the other sequence, and then opening and closing could be in either sequence here. That's interesting. So I think I'm gonna lay down for a minute and think about this. This is definitely a novel question for me. Let's say the way to count the VPS is to push when you see an opening parentheses and pop when you see closing parentheses onto a stack, and not even push onto a stack. You can just increment and decrement. It doesn't have to be on a stack. And then you just get the largest possible value at any point, and that's the maximum depth. So that's how you can process left to right in linear time, get the maximum depth. Now, a subsequence, what you would want to do is basically I think what you do is you would, when you see an opening parentheses, I guess you just maintain 2 stacks, really, 2 counts, right? And when you see an opening parentheses, you either increment one count or the other count, whichever one's smaller. And then when you see a closing parentheses, you would decrement the larger of the 2. And that's the easiest way to do it. Yeah, that's actually very straightforward. I think that's very easy if you do it that way. You just assign opening and closing parentheses in that way. And at some point, whatever the largest value of the 2 is, you take that one. I think you can do it that way. So int a 0, b is 0 for each value in sequence, char ch in sequence, constable, check is ch equals the opening parentheses. So if a is less than b, then we're going to a increment check, b decrement not check, and then the other side is a decrement not check, and b increment check. And the idea is that if it is an opening parentheses, we're going to add it to a, since a is smaller. And then we just say C is just the maximum of A, B, and C. Yeah, I think it's that simple. If you see the opening parentheses, you're going to put it with the, and A is smaller, then you're going to put it in A and not put it in B at all, right? Not check is 0. And then if it's an opening parentheses, you're going to put it, and B is smaller, then you put it in B and not in A, right? If it's a closing parentheses, then we don't affect A at all. We take the larger one and subtract. So B is the larger one, you subtract from that, and A is the larger one, you subtract from that one. And I think you could even go further and say, basically, A less than B, it's positive, a positive number here. So we'll say const int factor is A less than B. I think that may be too much extra work to do that way, but you could also go further and just calculate a factor and say factor is either -1 or +1, which is A less than B minus 1, bit shifted by 1. And then multiply the check. Just say constant amount. Well, no. You say A plus equals factor times check, and B plus equals factor times not check. Right? So when A is less than B, this is 1, and we add the check. The other case, we subtract the check. It should be subtracting not check. Nah, never mind. It's too complicated to do all that. Just do it this way. Keep it simple. Something like this, I think, is what I want. I think this does it. Oh, whoa. Also an error. Okay, hold on. Oh, excuse me. I did that wrong. Oh no. Also, I'll read the chat in a moment. Shoot. That's oh. I think this will always give me the optimal anyway. I don't need C then. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oops. Here we would increment A, means result.pushback A, 1. And let's give me a moment, I'll re-chat momentarily. Okay. And here it's the other way around. Actually, you still do that, but what was the 0 if it's a part of A? I think this is just, it could be the other way around. It could be, you could just flip all the bits, you should get the same thing. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. I think that's right. Am I doing on time? 13 minutes? Wrong answer. No. 010101. Oops. I like this one. You could probably keep track of the level by n decrementing with matching, especially if they're already valid parentheses. What's up, Chip Jones? I hope it is going well. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good question. I don't need to see anymore, do I? Yes, I agree. Yeah, the opening parentheses increments the level, and the matching parentheses decrements the level. Especially if they're already valid, right? If they're already a VPS, then you can just check. You don't have to check the edge cases when there's too many things popped or too many things left over at the end. Yes, true. So I went with 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So this one is here, this one is 0, this one is 1, 0, 1, 0. This one, and this one. Oh, I see. 0, 0. So that's wrong. That'll give me a negative number. I think wait, what? What is going on? Hold on, what? If A is less than B, so it's not initially less than B, we subtract 0 from A and add 1 to B. Okay, 0 from A, 1 to B. Then, so B gets the first one. A should get the next one because A is less than B. A gets the next one. They're both at 1. Then B loses this one, goes to 0, right? A minus equals not check. So B, oh, excuse me, I think I did this wrong. It's, no. Yeah, I did this wrong. So if A is less than B, we want to add to A. Let's do A is less than or equal to B. Let's do it that way. Add to A, otherwise, and yeah, add to A, otherwise we add to B, right? And if it's a closing parentheses and A is less than or equal to B, then we want to subtract it from B, and we want to, if B is greater than A, we want to subtract it from, this is wrong. Oh yeah. If A is greater than B, then we subtract from A. Okay. I don't know why. Why is this wrong? Oh. What is going on? Hello? Wait, what? Oh. Duh. That's why. Whoops. That's why. Okay. So it flips, but still 1 means we push into A. So we push into A, push into B, pop from A, right? And then, now this is weird. This gets pushed into B. So that doesn't make sense. What? Push A again, pop A, push B. B is now larger. This should push into A, not B. What is going on? So confused. Whatever I did, it was weird. Made it more confusing than it should be. I'm pretty sure I have the right idea, I'm not implementing it correctly for some reason. I think the logic is right. I don't know what. Am I getting this answer? 0, 0. Let's try again. Okay, let's try again. So push into A, now A is 1. Push into B, now A and B are equal. Now we should pop from A, right? Because now they're still equal to each other. Subtracting the negation of check from B, When they're equal, we subtract from B. When they're equal, we should probably subtract from A, actually. Which is kind of what happens here. Well, it doesn't matter. When they're equal, it doesn't matter. We can subtract from B or A. It doesn't make a difference. So it should subtract from B, which it does. And then now we're looking at, now this should add back to B. Oh, okay. So we push A, push B, pop B, push B. This should pop A or B, which it pops B, and then this pops A. There should be a correct answer. What's going on? This pops A with A is 1, B is 0. Yeah, it goes here. This would pop A. Yeah. Yes. And we get A is 0, B is 0. And the maximum at any point is 1. This is a correct answer that they're marking wrong. 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. It's not a correct answer because... Wait, what? What is going on? What? No. What is happening? This one is a part of one of them. Right? This one is skipped. This one closes. Right? That actually, no, this one actually closes this one, B. Oh. Maybe that's what's wrong. No, this should be 1, 0, 0. Oh, I see. Maybe that's the issue. Okay, should definitely be a 1 for A. And the next one is a 0 for B. The next one should be a 0. Oh, that's why. That's why I'm getting confused because I'm using A less than or equal to B. Oh, that's so confusing. That's funny. It flips the bits. Oh, that's very confusing. Gee. Oh no. That's okay. That's really confusing. It's an XOR. That's an easy mistake to make. Okay, that's. Ugh. Could use an if else. So if it's A less than or equal to B, then I'm trying to pick if it affects A or B, right? If it's A less than or equal to B and it's check, then it should be A, right? So 1 and 1 should be 0 is A. 1 and 1 is 0, right? If it's 1 and 0, then it goes to B, which should be 1. If it's 0, right, this brings it down here, 0 and 1, right? So 0 and check, also B. 0 and 1 gives you 1, B. 0 and 0 should give you A, which is 0. So that is very confusing. I realize that's kind of the problem. I didn't correctly identify the geez. Let me go for it. I'm gonna go for it. Go for it. Could be wrong. Probably wrong. Oh, that's right. Got it. Jeez, it took me like almost 30 minutes. Whew. I was going dark world. Oh man, that was rough. I'm gonna submit it 5 times. So yeah, that was not supposed to be that difficult. It wasn't supposed to be so hard. Oh, it's funny. It's kind of slow. Feels like it should be faster. Yeah. How are we doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do one more. Do one more submission. I think it should be faster. Also, I'll respond to chat in a second. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going really slow with this. This is a pretty clean solution. Relatively clean solution. I don't know how to make this faster. I mean, I was thinking you could do, you could really get crazy with this and do, actually, I don't even know. How to make this faster? Maybe this is what I need to do. I could try that. That might be it. That's faster. There we go. That does it. Why? I don't know. I don't know. How can I make this if else faster? There we go. 100%. Got it. Nailed it. Did it. That's all I need. That's all we need. Okay. Good luck with your question. Can you please explain what your background is and how you got this good piece? Sure, absolutely. So I've been programming for a long time, quite a while, and I've been programming since I was maybe 15 or so. It's like 16 years ago. So 16 years of programming, and about 10 years ago, a friend of mine showed me Project Euler. So I also worked as a professional too. I had maybe 4 years of professional experience as a developer. A friend of mine showed me this site called Project Euler, and he was like, "Hey, this is a cool website. You could practice programming here." And I did that. I saw maybe like 150 questions here. I wanted to go through all these questions on the archive, but basically, that was in like 2013. I actually solved one of the harder questions here, and this kind of sent me on my path to practice. Like I don't even know if LeetCode was really around very much in 2013. I mean, it might have been around a little bit, but it's actually relatively new, LeetCode itself. HackerRank was coming around. LeetCode was coming around. Basically, I started practicing like consistently for a very long time since then. And I mean, I think it took me 3.5 months to solve this question. It took me a really long time. And I got very, very good at thinking up solutions on my own, if that makes sense. I got like really, really good at looking at questions that probably already had solutions, but I would try to come up with a solution myself. And now it's been like maybe 10 years, I'd say, since then, where I've done like thousands of questions, and some questions will take me months and I'll just spend a really long time on those, but some questions are easier, I suppose, and I've kind of gotten very good at like the easier questions as well, like recognizing certain patterns, recognizing certain ideas, just slowly over time after solving like thousands of questions at this point. And I've solved questions over many different websites too. Like, so I haven't solved all the questions on LeetCode. I've solved questions on, there's other ones, like Code Signal is another one that I like. HackerRank is another one. I've solved a few hundred on each, like a few hundred on Code Signal. I think I maybe at like 600 or 700 on Code Signal, maybe 400 on HackerRank. There's another one, Foreclosure, is Oxel Foreclosure is another website I recommend. I've solved all the ones here as well. There's maybe it's about 150. There's like obviously it skips here. I didn't count how many exactly, but I solved all those in Clojure. Like basically, I started doing this stuff mostly just to practice programming languages, but I realized that like companies want you to know this stuff, so I started doing it like much more much more aggressively than just for fun. But yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. That's probably why I'm good at it, if I'm good at it at all. And then, yeah, I did Code Signal for a while. I did HackerRank for a while. I did some foreclosure. I did some Project Euler problems for a while. I did obviously some LeetCode. I'm almost at like 1,000 on LeetCode. There's another website you can go to that's pretty good. They go over like the more difficult questions here, different difficult topics here. They're quite good. I've learned some of these things. I don't know all these things. There's quite a few things there I haven't looked at. You could also go into like the CLRS. I think I mentioned this before either the other day, where they have the basics they cover in this textbook. At one point I tried to go through the CLRS, like the whole thing, and all the questions in it. Yeah, there's like, I don't know, I guess I've been doing it for a long time. Not since I haven't been doing algorithms work since I was a kid, like algorithms practice, but I've been doing programming since I was young. Yeah, formally in high school I took a course, so I could say I started that early formally too. But I actually got into if you're familiar with Warcraft 3 at all, there's this thing called VJS, which is pretty cool. There's this thing called Hive Workshop, which is cool. So this had a world editor. World editor, yeah. So you can create custom games and custom maps using the world editor. And this thing was really cool. I liked it a lot, the world editor. And I learned how to program from that. That's really what got me into it. And there's a lot of games that came out of this. The legacy for the world editor is quite a thing. A lot of games that, like League of Legends is sort of inspired, and Dota 2 is sort of inspired by some of the games that were created. And this was a modding community that I joined when I was younger. I actually won a competition, which was cool. I actually could have made money when I was younger. I kind of wish I had done that, because on my resume now I could have said like, yeah, I've been making money programming for 16 years, and that would be a lot more impressive than saying I've only been working professionally for 4. Because when I was young, people asked me to, because I had won a competition, I got a little bit of notoriety, somewhat anonymously, and pseudonymously, and they had asked me to rig up one of their maps. They wanted to make a Risk map, it's called, if you're familiar with the game Risk. They made their own Risk map, and as a custom map, and using the world editor, and they wanted me to program it. And I was in high school, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I have the time. I have like football I was doing at the time, and I wanted to have my own maps I was working on, and I wanted to go to university at some point. I was trying to figure that out, and I kind of forgot to ever pursue, or sort of just dropped pursuing basically programming custom games. And yeah, that's sort of another element of this too. Is like, that's kind of what really got me into it. But the way I got very good at not very good, I'm like okay. The way I got better at LeetCode questions is just a lot of practice. It's not even as much practice as it is like, eventually I learned that like, yeah, you gotta read like research reports on I mean, they're research reports. I don't know if you call them research reports, but a lot of this stuff is based off of research that people did. You got to read like the mathematics that other people have figured out. Otherwise, they'll take like the disjoint set union. Like a lot of this stuff, it's going to be very hard for you to basically conjure these things up on your own. It's kind of almost absurd, quite frankly, to try to think of this on your own. So I'd say doing a lot of reading also helps a bunch. Yeah, I would say also a big part of it was the internet itself evolving, because I eventually oh, these are all different. Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff involved in this stuff. There's a lot you could do. It's like a lot you could read about. Yeah, they give you certain applications too, which is cool. I think also the internet evolving helped a lot because again, like it's kind of unrealistic that you're going to come up with all this stuff on your own, all these different ideas. You can do some things on your own. You can figure stuff out, like shortcuts and different algorithms, but for the most part, it's going to be either pretty stock questions that you're looking at, or going to be an implementation of something that's already exists. Like you just saw, like a disjoint set union and some specific application of that. That's kind of like what most questions boil down to. Or they can be like new research. Like a new research question would be like the Project Euler questions. I think I have the archive here. These are probably related to like new research. These might be like real like new research kind of questions. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them. These questions are pretty challenging. So they have like how many now? I think they only had. It's funny, like they don't put out that many questions here. They put out quite a few, but not that many, which I think is good because they're really hard. They're really hard. Not all of them, but some of them. These are much more like math-based questions, way more math-based questions than even the LeetCode questions. Although LeetCode questions are still pretty good. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than I went to high school. I got a degree. I was a software developer for a few years professionally. I kind of did this on my spare time, after work usually. Spent a lot of time doing this stuff. I would spend a lot of time thinking. That's what I would spend most of my time doing. I spent a lot of time just kind of thinking about questions, how I might be able to solve them. And it's tough, man. I have to say, it's not easy coming up. Like, if you don't have all the tools available, so to speak, it can be very, very challenging. Like, another question that's really tough is, here's one that's like, this will knock you down usually. This is like definitely something you shouldn't try to, really shouldn't try to figure this one out on your own. So this is counting the number of spanning trees in an unweighted graph. You can do it in polynomial time using the the determinant of the first matrix of the determinant of a first minor of the Laplacian matrix of a graph. So any cofactor, which is a first minor. A minor means you delete a row and a column. Any row and column combination can be deleted, I believe. Yeah, so you find the determinant of a first minor of the Laplacian matrix of a graph. That'll give you in cubic time. Although polynomial time is a little misleading, this particular algorithm, you're going to use, I guess, the Chinese remainder theorem to do this properly. If you want to actually do it in polynomial time, you kind of have to force the bits that you're working with to a constant number of bits, because if you do something like Gaussian elimination or Gaussian elimination, you're going to end up with potentially an exponential number of bits that you're operating with because you're doing so many divisions and additions, right? Because each time you divide if you're using rational numbers, for example, you just imagine each time you take a rational number, add another integer to it, and then divide by another rational number, you're basically increasing the denominator by like an exponential amount for each operation. So you end up with an exponential number of bits unless you do your operations modulo some integer, some prime number, in which case then you can keep the bits constant. Then it's actually cubic time with a naive Gaussian elimination. Problem with that though is then I think you got to employ the Chinese remainder. I haven't actually done it. I'm pretty sure you do it this way. You employ the Chinese remainder theorem, so that way you can get enough remainders to rebuild the actual number if you wanted like the full number. But the full number is gigantic, is kind of what it comes down to. The full number is enormous. But anyway, you can do it in polynomial time, I think, in theory, and it's a large number, and knowing that you can do that is not a trivial thing, like not at all. This is like, I think the proof for Kirchhoff's matrix tree theorem is like 11 pages when I read it last time. And it's like, to expect somebody to just know that somehow on their own is just, without having done significant research to figure this out, or just reading somebody else's research on the subject is just kind of an absurd ask. Yeah, so that's the other issue, is like you get questions from time to time that are just, they're kind of just they're kind of just too hard in that regard. Like they're just not realistic as like a 15 to 20 minute question. Like they're maybe a good research question, but then you've got to say like, well, has someone already researched this? It's like, yeah, they have. So like, why would you spend your time? You can maybe research it again to come up with a different way of doing it, maybe a faster way. But again, it's like then it's probably not what you should be spending your time on. Like unless you're actually going to be like a researcher and maybe you're doing a PhD, maybe you're like doing that work professionally. That's really it's really spinning your wheels, so to speak. So yeah, a lot of pain also involved in this, because I was under the impression that I could just come up with an answer like this on my own on the spot, and I would often try. And sometimes I would be successful, surprisingly, but most of this stuff, these sorts of questions, like realistically, if you're going to solve them quickly, you've got to read the research that's out there and know about it, and then you can apply it in various ways. It is a good exercise to try to solve these sorts of questions without the research already, and spend like a few months just pondering some way of doing it. That's actually what I did for this one. Where is it? Yeah, 488. Yeah, I actually came up with my own solution to this one that wasn't based off of. It is actually like one of the kind of formal solutions. I didn't know why it was correct. I mostly just saw a pattern that I was able to exploit, which is kind of an amazing thing. So it sort of gives you a hint too, by the way, on like certain like kind of machine learning algorithms. You might be able to come up with other algorithms that are not obvious because they can identify a pattern quickly. Might not be able to have an explanation for that pattern, but you may be able to at least see the pattern. So you could maybe use machine learning as kind of a tool to help along theoretical research. But anyway, that's another subject. The point is that I saw a pattern here, not using any theory that was related to the question, or not theory directly related, and I was able to exploit that pattern and solve it. And I kind of am able to do that from time to time with various different questions, even though I don't have like the full background on the question. And like I said, that takes a lot of time and is quite painful because you're just sitting there staring at a question and thinking about a question for months at a time, wondering to yourself, like, what are you doing with your life? Why am I torturing myself with this? Yeah, I don't recommend doing that. That's I don't recommend that. It's good in the sense that, like, yeah, you get some idea, some practice with things like that. You get that kind of something of a learning experience, but it's also pretty brutal. It's definitely very brutal. Not getting paid for months on end and not you can make some progress, but it's tough. Let's just say it's tough. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of my background. A lot of time and suffering. A lot of time and suffering. Okay, anyway, let me who's calling? I don't recognize the number. I'm gonna let them leave a message. Anyway, okay, I'm rambling now. I'm rambling for 20 minutes, but yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. We got the 100%. I should rechat. Sorry. Cool. Did you study CS? Yes, I did. Yep, got a degree. What was the algo set you just showed? Oh, that was there's a bunch, but that was probably CP algorithms. That might have been the one. Just CP algorithms. That's all. Sorry, I didn't reach out for a while. I was kind of rambling on there for 10 minutes. Thank you for the detailed answers. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like to talk about myself from time to time, to put it bluntly. How do you make money now with coding, if I may ask? Oh, so I'm unemployed at the moment. I've been looking for a job. I was a developer a few years ago, but I quit that job. I quit that job thinking that I can get another job very easily, and I had a lot of interviews, but I didn't do well in a lot of those interviews. I did actually almost get an offer from one firm, but they wanted me to come back to New York, and I didn't want to be in New York at the time. I moved back to New York on my own anyway, eventually. But yeah, let me move on to the next question. Forgive me, I'm just rambling there, but yeah, this is a cool question. I like this one. This is clever, and I like the solution. Yeah, right. So that seems to be the. Sometimes I miss that the solutions that I'm working on. I don't realize they're copying the string, and that's what's taking so long. It's a lot faster. I think it's faster. Let me stop there. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give it a like and follow. Okay. Whoops. Yeah. Yeah, OBS just told me it wasn't responding. Yeah, if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe for more. If you like this sort of stuff, subscribe for more. I'm not sure if I'm going to come up with another question. I might do another question. I got to think if I want to do one or not. I think I might take a break for a little bit. I'll either take a break or start another question. But yeah, I appreciate you coming by, saying hello, watching, commenting. And that may have been kind of too much information. Sometimes I go a little too much. Okay, yeah. So I'll stop here. So yeah, thank you.